to read and try to get a little bit more knowledge, you will find the common truth that if you have knowledge, you are going to be valued no matter where you are. And getting knowledge is not easy. It is not supposed to be easy. It is supposed to be hard. And it can't be done when you're working on a project. Because project doesn't care that it's giving you, it's not supposed to give you knowledge. You got that knowledge as a side effect. Like, because I come from a mobile background, so I could see this plainly happening from 2007 to 2014 when mobile, anybody is working in mobile space? Mobile testing or, awesome. Yeah. Well, but mobile space, right? So this is an inverse of I think one of the old presentations I did. If I had said, okay, mobile anybody, almost everybody hands were in mobile domain. And at that time it was like, it's very difficult to explain. Like people will follow that and just learn that, right? But the things will change. And then, you have to move along with that. Anyway, sorry, I am long, I didn't answer. I actually tried to answer you and then I went somewhere else as well. So, yeah, these are the skills. And one thing which I didn't put, which actually is sad, because it's for this testing conference, nothing to do with testing here. Nobody says what to pick, man. Should I learn a little bit more about performance testing or maybe testing, like just testing in general? Should I learn, what does testing mean? Like there was a comment about scientists and all. That actually is that's a line I've used as well in the past. Because testing as an activity is mostly done in science, scientists. If they don't do tests, our population would be probably 1/3 of 7 billion people. Because that's how the Earth was when there was no medicine, when there was no science. Our population depended on which part of the continent we stayed, what kind of parasites are there, and what season is going on. So depending on that, you'll get some diseases, you will get killed, you will die, or somebody will invade you and kill you. And that's how human population was kept in check for thousands of years. It's only when science came in and that repeatable, testable, provable approach, then that's where we started making progress. And the core of science is tests. You have to experiment/test. You have to keep testing. You have to keep checking, did I cover all the variables? Is it correct? Does it harm or not? And you keep finding different ways. Like Edison's example I was giving, like he found out 3,000 ways of how not to make that filament, electric bulbs filament, which was a big deal for him to find out that copper was the right material. He had tried a Japanese tree's bark as well as the filament thing. He tried all materials, which nobody would have thought of even using it. So people do test, right? So that is very important. But we actually try to think of tools as if that will take us to the next part of our journey. Testing, that craft, that art, is actually the one which will take you forward. And that will give you the confidence of picking up any tool. All these tools they are actually scary sounding as well, right? Git, Jenkins, Kubernetes. I had to bloody Google it up and see how to pronounce it. It's spelled Kubernetes, pronounced Kubernetes. Python, Java, right? But once you talk to people who do this as professions, especially developers, right? And you'll find out there are a very common base. It's like speaking languages as well. Once you start picking up the grammar, you will understand the basic phonetics and the sentence formations are pretty similar. So it's not that scary, but we just need to be a bit more aware. So that's that. Then I thought I'll talk about I talked about the QA myths. I thought I'll do the automation myths. Okay, I'm into manual, I want to go into automation, I'll do all this and I'm done. So what kind of things? I'll do some online course, Udemy or Coursera or it's the other big one, Pluralsight. The biggest of all. Biggest of all the tutorials. But it's paid actually, it's expensive. Lynda.com, bought by LinkedIn. huge market in training actually these days because of this FOMO. Actually, imagine people are making millions of dollars because millions of people are actually constantly flustered. What do I do? Do I do this? Kubernetes, okay, let me do this. Where is the course? Who will teach me? Back in the day, you had to do that hard work. A Java developer does not become a Java developer because he did a course. He actually spends few years, right? And does crappy work in the beginning, then gets scolded by the seniors. And if he's smart, he actually makes less mistakes, but then he learns. There is no shortcut to that process, actually. So courses actually first create that FOMO and then give you this pill. And you start running, and they keep changing that. So big business, I wish I was in that when mobile was big. But yeah, so that's one of the most common myths. I can do this course, and I think I can put it on my resume. I don't know how many of people here have done it. I have seen dozens and dozens, wherein it looks perfect on the resume. I call them for interview, and then I talk, oh, okay, you've done that e-commerce site. I know where that e-commerce site course was done. I literally have done enough interviews to know that e-commerce site and even the bugs in that e-commerce site, which everybody supposedly has automated, hence they know automation, right? So that's one of the myths. Or I do a current, like I'm already in a company, I'm already in the manual team, I'll already get attached to an automation team, friends, good friends, pick up some things, do some course, and I say, okay, yeah, I've done. I'm ready for automation. Or I can do POCs. That's again part of your course thing as well. And the last one, which is the most dangerous one in my opinion, is once you have learned a development tool, not development, but a development tool, how to use it, you say, I'm a developer level, so I can be that SDET or automation tester or any fancy terms you can come up with. Like, I'm ready. I don't know why companies are not giving me an opportunity. Like, then you start getting not stressed out, but unhappy with your company because you are already ready. So you've already given yourself 10 out of 10 marks that you have the skill. Now I'm not getting opportunities. Let me float my resumes and I'll go somewhere else, right? So these actually have long repercussions later on down the line because not just yourself you are fooling, you're going to fool few other people around you, and you are actually going to cost money to a company who will actually trust that. Because a lot of time you will find out when you actually get that job, get that project, you start working, at that time you will find out. Worst, if you start a team, actually that's worse, wherein you were the first automation engineer who was hired. The resume looks awesome, he has used all these words, hire him, now go hire more automation engineers for your team. So you become a lead as well. So it's awesome, right? I'm just talking bullshit right now, that this is all bad. No, this is amazing. So I hire people as well, and then I start writing that framework, and it is like garbage. So who hurts? The company actually hurts because they're paying you money and they have done some project and they've got that project, and like Dr. Shankar was talking about, like there's a other world where you have to work really hard to get a project, which most of the people, I didn't say that in the panel, most of the people I'm guessing don't even see that side. Need to know basis or just don't have the clearance to have that knowledge. But there's a lot of hard work going just to get one client, to get just that one project. And all can go down the drain. And guess what? That person actually who has really caused that is not even there by the time that project finishes. They've moved on because I've done 2 years in a company, I've seen everything. I know I'm bored now, but now there's a new word. It was Docker, now it's Kubernetes, so I'll go learn Kubernetes. And the cycle starts again. So these things are happening now, and eventually they are going to catch up. And maybe some of us who are lucky who will do this and not see the brunt of it, but the next generation is going to definitely get the brunt of it because they will follow the same pattern and they all get caught. Like if you work in a team wherein you are the automation engineer, the fourth one, and the previous 3 have been doing that work for 3 years and they were, let's say, decent as well. The moment you start working first week, they say, man, this person doesn't even know why did we hire him? Because that team will not hire you, somebody else would have hired you. I say, man, what do I do? Then either you are being carried, like your work is being done by, so there's no win-win situation here. So a lot of bad things happen if we are not honest about our skills, to ourselves and to the employer. Yeah, and Stack Overflow, that's our best. So that's the automation myth which I feel is going on, because generally that's what we say. Automation is equal to automation, which I say is not. So why is it not? So what is different than just doing that course or doing those POCs? So I've written out, and Stack Overflow is there, Google is there, you'll solve a problem. No, there's actually way more. If that was true, sorry. If that was true, and I thought I have a short presentation. If that was true, then everybody would have been developer years ago, because Google hai na, Stack Overflow bhi hai. But why developers still do things which we don't understand? There are certain things. We misunderstand scripting as software designing or software engineering. These words you've been hearing, but I don't think it has sunk into us the meaning of software engineering, software designing. It takes a lot of hard work of basic principles. Like anybody has, so whosoever raised the hands of automation and all, solid principles. Who has used solid principles? Without looking at Google, who can tell me solid principles right now? Thank God. I was betting on nobody. Design patterns. Except for, please tell me anything except Page Factory and, Page Factory and Page Object Model. Just leave those two out. Please tell me some design patterns you have read about, heard about, tried, right? So just those two things are the basics of a software engineering course when you go to a college. I don't know about India, but if you go through the free MIT, Harvard programming, even in Java and all, they will talk about this constantly. So this is as basic as tester saying, oh, how to write a test case. That is something which you would expect a tester to at least know to be able to do good software testing. This is the basics. If you want to be a good coder, so developer, different job profile, but just coder. Anybody can be a coder. QA can be a coder, a PM can be a coder if he knows that language and knows certain principles. So these things like coding habits, like what the hell is coding habits? How to write comments, not having spelling mistakes in comments. Like these are so basic that if you actually, I hope somebody has already been exposed to, or in future maybe, good dev teams. These are basics. This is, as I said, these are KG first class level stuff. And that is what, like look at any documentation from Selenium's own code or Google's own Android code, which is actually freely available. You can look at the source code. It's actually not easy to go through. It takes time. You might need dev friends to talk to you about why it has been done like this. First of all, the first challenge is to understand that what have they done? Like the whole OOPS concept, like because most of you raised hands about automation, I'm guessing it's Selenium or Appium or some programming language, right? So OOPS concept, not just the full form of OOPS, actually implementing that. What are the things, and these are 1980s concepts. So design patterns are, I think, probably 1990 something, 1990s, really old. And those are the basics which you have to. That's the hard work you'll have to put, and lot of it. Because you have not done that in college. Anyways, lot of scaring. That was part of my presentation. But then there's good news as well, right? What next? Like what to do for those people who are crossing that bridge? They have just done that. Okay, given they've done the course and all, that YouTube course or whatever that is. But if they take something out of this session today, and if they go back and look at those topics I talked about in the previous slide, like how to do it. The good news is we all have something called brain, which is always hungry to learn. The only trouble is it learns in different ways in different people. So once you can figure out what tickles your brain, you will actually get hungry for it. It's just that our job, our profession typically stifles it. It says, oh, you keep that away, you just do that this way, the Excel sheet or CSVs and Jiras and test trails and whatnot. Like that doesn't tickle our brain. So if you can find those things while learning, while researching, you can reinvent yourself. And once you reinvent yourself, it's a very hypnotic and addictive habit to have. Once you learn something, you will actually get, that's why developers actually are not very social. they are looking for that kick just in that domain because they know if they put in effort, they will eventually get that kick. They are not dependent on people and they stay in that zone. So if you get even a small taste of it, I'm pretty much sure, I guarantee, literally guarantee that you would want the next high. You would want to do something. It could be as small as how to, just to learn these topics and apply it in a very small manner in some programming language you know. So I think I'll do the next steps. No shortcuts, very blunt. This is the only way I read about people, not just in IT, in other domains as well. I talk to a lot of people who I've seen actually the last 10, 15 years grow from engineers to their own companies and all. And it's a common theme across everywhere in this world. One thing, review your skills honestly, and don't tell anyone, but do it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. Because if you can be honest to yourself, which will be very scary, very easy for me to say, I have done this few times. That's why the FOMO kicked in. The moment I'm honest to myself, I am shit scared. And what do I do? But the next step then is very important. And because I've done it a couple of times, that's why I feel confident that next time I'll feel this way, I'll be able to handle myself. Because I have to find that out things which I like, which are of my interest. As I said, you'll only have one job. And if you're really good in that job, a company will be stupid to let go of you. You would probably leave, but the company should not, generally will not. They are hungry, they are really poor. They are looking for those good people. So if you are honest to yourself and you are improving, it comes across. I'm not talking about politics and other things. Those factors are different, right? So, yeah. And plan. Like I would say, have that plan, stick to it, read. If you can read, please read. In any form, text, audiobooks, but read. Or talk to people. Make dev friends. If you want to be in this coding world, find people who actually code every day. They actually make the application which you're trying to automate, right? So even if they are not great developers, right? But at least talk to them. That itself will teach you a lot of things. I thought I'll put the last word. Difficult road leads to beautiful destination. It is proven. That's why somebody actually made a board also. It has happened again and again in our history. Yeah. Thanks. Any questions or disagreements? We can take it offline as well, as long as you don't throw anything at me. Okay.
Hey, thanks, Rahul. That was great, and hope people find their destinations, right?
Yep, I hope so too.
Yeah. So on, you want to go up? No.
Okay. Well, yes,
so on behalf
do the posting.
For a great talk.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Oh, we have to do a picture.
Picture. Sorry. Can you hear me? Oh, loud and clear. Okay, I know there are lots of eager people out here. So this one. This is my thank you speech, okay? No, sorry. I need my specs. But first of all, for the India Testing Awards, I was honored to be a part of the jury. And I have two people to thank. Santosh, where is he? He's been there, done that, and moved on, is it? Okay. And Rahul Verma, right? So Santosh participated in our deliberations all the way from Romania. Rahul and I were catching up face to face. And it was interesting, right? There were 5 categories, to be very honest. But we only listed 4, right? We didn't, I'll come to the reasons for the 5th one later. But the idea was to look at projects of the year, to look at the team of the year, to look at the emerging technologies that have been used actively and well in a testing engagement, and a testing tool or product. And I don't mean a commercialized product, a testing tool or product that was used in a way that could be replicated across multiple different products, right? Or multiple different projects. That was the whole idea. It need not be commercial, it could be in-house, and it could be there. Now, when we sat down, we had a set of criteria that we went through, and we wanted to make sure that there were two things that came out, right? One, I think we could have improved with the format in which the responses were given or asked to be given for all those who have applied. We think, I want to make that statement upfront because at times we weren't looking at apples to apples, and that is ideally what you should be looking at. The second is, when we looked at, there are companies and projects that have done a lot, not only in that project, but as a group or as a division. And we needed to separate out what the benefits to a project was as opposed to what the benefits to to the organization as a whole was. And if you are looking at the benefits from testing, let's say to a customer objective, we wanted to see direct linkages there. So if it was a project that was saying, for a testing project of the year, for example, we wanted to see what direct benefits the testing team contributed to the end business objectives of the customer, right? I mean, fairly simple, right? We all talk about, I have reduced cost by $5 million or $2 million. Now, where does that happen? Does it come from you as a testing team, or does it come from the program as a whole, right? So somewhere those lines needed to be sought out. And that was where I thought the way we asked questions didn't probably gel completely, but to some extent we did get that. So these are the 4 categories, and they're there as you've seen us all. So for testing project of the year, we had 5 projects that were there, 5 groups. There were Infosys, Accenture, Tech Mahindra, Testing Experts, and Vodafone, right? I'll first start with the honorable mention. The honorable mention goes to Infosys. Infosys, anybody representing NBN? Yeah, hi. They had a good presentation in terms of how they improved. I mean, I don't know much of the project, and we saw it at that point in time, but what notes that I have is that you all did great from managing capacity, automation, progression, the transformation ecosystem, etc. So great job done, but you're not the winner, unfortunately. The winner actually, and it was difficult, and believe me, some of the quality of the responses were great because all of them were doing absolutely phenomenal stuff in terms of what they were doing for the engagement. And I'm sure all of these, if I sit down and ask them all to write down and compare, it would be very difficult, but we had to go by what was there on paper, right? And there was one project which had 22 million customers across 8 countries and had to test across a combination of hardware components, browsers, audio, video, glitches, UI, multilingual, etc. And the winner was Vodafone. TV everywhere. Okay, so Vodafone. Anybody from Vodafone? So that's it. I mean, it was a big, huge multi. Oh, holy shit.
Ask someone to take photo. Come.
So who's the project manager here?
He's not here.
She is not counted. There's a team? So, all right. So I'll give it to the team. Sujata, sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. 1 second. Oh, here. You hold this also, right? Behind. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So we still need to do that? All right, thank you.
Faster.
Okay, so great. You want to come? All right, emerging technology, something that is good, new, blockchainy, or good theories applied into a testing project, right? And again, differentiated from a product in terms of the fact that it was the application of technology, right? And the winner here is Tech Mahindra. And let me read out what they did, because all of us were extremely fascinated by that project. Just a second. So this had essentially was for a BFSI customer with microservices, with a lot of microservices integration. It was an analytics-powered chaos test engineering engagement, I mean a product that actually did that, which took a lot of, and as we understood it, which analyzed a lot of the unexpected errors that were actually coming out. Imagine Netflix or something like that, and being able to simulate unexpected events and seeing what the impact of that before it went live was, right? So it turned out to be a great statement of good technology being used in a very sensible way, using tools that Netflix has actually developed to actually deliver it, right? So who from Tech Mahindra? All right, great, superb, congratulations. Thank you. Thanks. Phew. Sorry guys, I'm very colorful personality as it is, but this is a bit much. Testing Team of the Year, nominees, Infosys, I think they had a couple of entries. Accenture, Tech Mahindra, testing experts, Vodafone. Now, some of the problems that we saw here was the fact that people were trying to put their entire organization as a team or a complete element of an organization as a team. Whereas what we were really looking for was a good, concise, precise team out here, right? And the nominees from here, the honorable mention that I have is for Vodafone for their TSSI. But the winner of this is Accenture for their next-gen QE services testing for, incidentally, Vodafone. All right. Yes, it is for Vodafone, right? Okay, so you still win, Vodafone. Oh, he's a testing manager, then you deserve this. Congratulations. Yeah? And you're the big boss. All right, congratulations. Holy cow. Okay. Oh, I have to hold this. Sorry. That's okay. Thank you. Well done. Okay. So we have one more award for what we call the product of the year, which was again how you would take an element of testing or an area of testing. And we found some wonderful examples of how test data was being used or being optimized. We found some wonderful examples of how the environments were being managed. And we found wonderful examples of how AI and ML were actually used to extract, design, extract test cases and effectively design regression suites or improved regression suites. And the winner is the machine learning ML based cognitive tool for test suite designed by Accenture and BT. In fact, honorable mention to Vodafone for their what they call the VTEMs. See, environment management is one of the least understood or the least recognized branch of we all say, "Arey, wo ops ka kaam hai," right? And managing those environments is something that is important. Infi had a very good tool around test data, which I thought was, which we considered and brought in the scheme of things. But I think from a pure, from what we could see, the advantages delivered, etc., Accenture BT took the cake. Yeah? So congratulations, you're the team that developed it?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Great, super. Congratulations. Oh my God, this is a big one.